Live.
Hello, world. Okay, so this is the Naiji Temple, and as normal, we'll be pursuing cases of the human condition and the meaning of existence. We like to take things from the forums, requests from our fans, but right now, the most interesting topic on the forums is kind of talking about how certain pathways can be pathologized and whether or not how they can become a pathology, and then whether or not they are in fact a pathology based on one's perspective. But I think that that's going to be more interesting and appropriate for Najed's Temple, so we're going to save it for then. Tonight, we're kind of just going to wing it here a bit. We were having a conversation before we went live, talking basically about just different interesting musical things that influence us, particularly about Najed's stuff, because that's been kind of in the air. One, because we updated Bruno's reading from Naiji to Nijai, and then also because there's been a lot of discussion on the forums about musical influences. So anyway, we'll probably continue the conversation a bit. And then another thing that came from Bruno is he asked me to read a sample. Leslie Dewin, she is a co-founder of some company that is involved in a new form, a superior form apparently, of nuclear energy. And she's a Nijai, and then when I looked her up, on the internet, I saw like on the sidebar like other people that are similar somehow according to the algorithm, and I actually gathered them all and ended up like having 14 other of these females technology entrepreneur that we didn't have at all. So I just started looking at that, and I was actually thinking that it'd be cool if the Naiji and I kind of just kept pursuing that, because like right now I'm talking to you all, but I don't know if you can tell, like my brain's jumping ahead like that. I really want to get back. I was actually like reading right before I came on, so it'd be kind of cool to get right back on that. But I was also really enjoying this other conversation. So let's go ahead and do introductions and then just get back into it. I am Naiji Coach.
I'm Naiji Mitchell.
I'm Naiji Ben.
And this is Naiji Glenn.
So we were basically just talking about, like I said, different influences of music and how there are different Najed's influences. We were kind of just covering it all, and then Glenn was going. Take it away.
Oh, yeah, I was just, we were talking about different songs that we like about Regina Spektor. Coach mentioned Thousand Faces, Blue Lips. We talked about Fidelity, and then on the radio, which is a little bit more of like a haunting kind of song, but it's, you know, I think you said, Coach, that you don't really know what it is that she's trying to say, but it has that kind of like quality to it, and it just
feels like life happens, but yeah, it's not specific.
Exactly. I quite like Samson, and then we switched gears, and then we started talking about Journey, which was mentioned in the one video with where Nijai Bruno was updated to being Nijai, not an Naiji. And so I think Coach talked about Journey there, and then that got me interested in it, and then I started watching videos. I watched like a whole bunch of, like an entire playlist of all the different songs from like their most popular to their, you know, lesser known. Yeah. And they have quite a few songs, and they're quite good, despite the fact that they are, you know, a little bit more older generation kind of thing, but still it's still really good and still interesting. And I was just like really interested in like, are they all Nijai or like
on my readings, I generally unless I'm requested or they're very famous, I try. It's too many people to read because I'm already doing a lot of mass reading. I stick with what you're going to be getting as far as cues. So pretty much the vocalist. I go for the main vocalist.
Right. So
they're listed as a vocalist or a vocal trio or quartet. I'll get however many they are. But basically, whoever's listed as being a primary vocalist, that's who I grab. Anyway, on that, Journey has had, I believe, 2 lead singers, and they are both Nijai.
Oh, so they have 2. I remember there's. Okay. All right, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that a little bit more, but
it's something like that too. That really, nothing like greatest band ever, but they are pretty good. Oh, they might think the greatest band ever. Van Halen, which ironically is based off the unusual Nye-Z. He's like a really virtuoso guitarist, but so the band's named after him and his brother. But I think the brother plays drums or something. But they're actually like virtuoso musicians. The lead singer has been Nijai David Lee Roth originally, and then it was Nijai Sammy Hagar.
Oh.
Also Nijai. Yeah. So.
But Eddie Van
What you're saying?
Eddie Van Halen is Nige.
Z.
No, he's not Z.
He's Nize, and then Wolfgang Van Halen. He's the bass player or bass. I'm not sure. I think he might be Nige or Ni Alpha. Probably.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I've read him or not. If he's his brother, most likely he's nice too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, so yeah, of course, yeah.
But actually, like I said, like, it's unusual that in the band that you'll have the bassist or drummer be as famous or more famous than the lead person. But if that ever comes up, then it does. I like did Van Halen. I read them too. I read Eddie Van Halen because he's kind of what band was formed around. But generally, it's so and so and the comments, so and so in this, so and so in the such and such experience. Generally speaking, that first person that they mention and the so and so, that's always the lead singer, and that's what I usually got.
Mm-hmm. Quite interesting that he's a Nize and he became one of the best guitar players ever. This seems really interesting.
Flea is also, I think, a Nize from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I believe he's a guitarist also.
And there's some female Nize music artists as well.
What's that?
Aren't there some female Nize music artists as well?
Actually, there's more. I believe.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. There's not a lot of either one, but they are strong. So we got
Joan
like
Jett or something.
Joan Jett, Pat Benatar. There's a few of them that are really good. Lita Ford.
Lita Ford.
Chrissy Hynde from the Pretenders. They got several good songs.
Oh, cool.
So I'm sure it's good. Oh, but anyway, that's cool. What were we talking about? No,
we're just comparing like the male Nizian music to the female.
Oh yes. One thing I'm really enjoying in the music timeline just so far is seeing, just like the TV timeline, the kind of like repeating patterns, as like this is clearly satisfying a certain urge. Like for one thing, from the earliest, like the 50s up till now, music, like even popular music, it's more so in, say, heavy metal and rap and some other things like that. But even in popular music, it's where a lot of these, I guess, urges that are not given the time they need to be given in what is acceptable in society, they kind of have outlet. Because there's certain, like, controversial topics, for example, are like a theme. In the 50s, their way of expressing it may seem a bit tame. But I'm amazed, actually, at some of the lyrics that they have. They'll give us like really like da 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 da, kind of bebop-y, kind of like doo-wop rhythm to it. I'm like, wait a minute, they're talking about like killing. Well, they're alluding to killing like a lover, like the lover who betrayed them, and things that like so like the way they delivered it, they made it cuter, more, I don't know, like operatic in its delivery a bit, in the 50s particularly. And then the wording, they use allusions that are very poetic, but I don't think they were vaguely poetic a lot of times. I mean, they use like little like words like institute, like for sex or for getting on and so forth, and it's like, I mean, pretty much they're saying it, but I guess you just have more room to deny it. There's more plausible deniability, but other than that, they're basically saying the same thing to each generations, and then over time, it gets away from plausible deniability to where like, I'm saying sex. It's like this. There's late, it's squishy. It's like how extreme can you get? But even early on, it was provocative. It's kind of interesting to watch the evolution of it.
Yeah, that is interesting. Goes from like more almost interpretive to more like literal in a way.
I think, ironically, yes, to some degree, but I think it's also more flagrant.
Like,
it's another way of putting it. I do think you're right. I do think that there was...
More yang.
It's more yang. I think you are right. There is actually, it's more, as part of being in your face, there's the overtness, but there's also, you're right, it's more spelled out. Although they still use clever metaphor and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
It is more spot on. I think that's a really good observation. The more I'm thinking about that, Mitchell, that's a good point. I've just been kind of initially taking this in because I still haven't even begun it yet, but I'm just initially like kind of looking at like some early trends, and that is something is that the need to mask what you're saying with the interpretive powers early on, and time, it became less masking it than making it interesting, like 70s, 80s. And then it goes from using interpretive powers to make it interesting to make your face unignorable, like as flagrant as you can make it. So it's still, because it's mainly interpreters that are doing it. So the spell is still mainly interpretive, but its function, you're right. Maybe it's not so much interpretive literal. It's quite different. Maybe it's actually change flow.
That's what I was thinking. Like you're almost taking something down the peak pathway a little bit collectively.
Yeah.
For example, it almost, like at a very high level, it's almost like teasing revolution in the 50s, and then they start spelling it out in the 60s and 70s. Then it's like cool and expected, 80s and 90s, and then now we're like at the point where like, why haven't we actually done it? It's almost like it's been like a 5-6 decade like building up to. We've been telling songs about taking it to the streets. You realize at some point we're going to have to take it. In the 50s, it's like revolution, and we'll stay up all night. They can't stop us, and tomorrow it'll be rock and roll around the world. Early on, as funny as it sounds, they're basically predicting a revolution, and they keep predicting this revolution, changing its tone over the decades. And now, you know what I mean? As you were mentioning, Mitchell, there, it has gotten more like, well, for one thing, this is high level. The phenomenon of the entourage has escalated also along with this, so that not only are you talking about a fantasy world of music, early on the rock and roll stars could afford to kind of like cobble together a fantasy world. And then through the decades, it's gotten to where if you're a big star, a lot of times it's just normal and expected. There's a lot of infrastructure now for this, to create your universe. Do you know what I mean? And in fact, how far you can extend it's a big deal. You actually try to extend like this bubble of fan following. That's like a force, an event. So it's interesting. I do think now, and also kind of like the flash mobs and crowdsourcing and things of that nature, that I think that the evolution of popular music is a part of that, because popular music does bring in universal. Because that's what's fascinating, is if you look at the early 50s, you pretty much have different genres. And of their genre, they were, I guess, good enough that more people than that genre like it. And so the top 100, the Billboards, the 1955, is basically like the best of rock and roll, the best of R&B, the best of country, and so forth. Over time, though, this morphs. You still have those, kind of reminds me of mixed martial arts, ironically. Over time, you still have those major bubbles producing the key players, but the styles look different. They automatically incorporate the other style's existence. And so from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s till now, it sounds weird, but think about this. The radio was only like not that many decades ago. And so popular music really was like the beginning of a global consciousness where, like in the United States, for example, the entire United States had very specific pockets of like, we do country here. And if you live in that area, think of this, without radio, what do you have? Country, R&B. Yeah. That's it. Because you're going to hear it from the churches, you're going to hear it from the saloons or the bars or people's parties. It'll physically be transmitted. That's the only thing there is. Next level after that is you have phone recorders, things like that. That's where you have like the clicks. Early on, these were kind of revolutionary. The similarity between that and the revolutionary movement is very similar, where they're like, did you read Karl Marx? Yeah. This is like, do you have Led Zeppelin? Do you have this? Do you know what I mean? And so if you have it, we can click up. But then what starts happening is radio made like an early internet. TV and radio. But for music, it was mainly radio, where you could hear everything. And that began the concept, really, of the Billboard Top 100 on radio. Because most towns now, after radio, a new concept came in. You had local stations and national stations. and national stations accumulated the top songs in the nation. And so the nation actually starts hearing every Sunday, if you tuned in like I did, to what are the top 100 sounds from all over. And that begins your concept of sound. Like, I wasn't raised, I guess my parents were, I wasn't raised on different genres. I was raised on pop music. Do you know what I mean? Which had, you know, R&B and rap and country all thrown in there, but I was just used to, you know, right, there's so much music out there, if you want to get like a fast line in there, you kind of just go to Billboard Top 100. Those are the 100 most popular songs according to everyone in the entire nation. I'm not saying you stop your search there. That's a really good place to begin a search. You know what I mean? And so now, most people's initial place to start their search has all the genres mixed. That's all you know. That is the beginning platform. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
Because from that, develop some interesting things where ideas leak in. If they're kind of more colloquial ideas, they won't last. But ideas that actually will respond to more like a universal thing, it can become more popular. Now, it's fascinating. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to it as the samples come out. We can talk more about this now as well. Actually, I'm curious, what is your guys' musical experience? For me, just briefly, is I actually followed popular music pretty much since I was alive. In fact, I know more about that than I do about my actual like past history as a human. I just know music and other things like that. But as a part of that, I was also really into movies. And in movies, you know, if you're watching like gangster movies, they'll play like cool music from that era. And so that got me, you watch Scorsese movies, you're like, you hear these cool, sexy 70s songs. You know what I mean? I was born like in 73, so actually I wasn't really into like popular music until I was like, I guess, a few years old. But once I kind of got into movies, it jumped that around a lot. And then also my parents were into music from their era and, you know, were interested in transmitting like why it was cool to me. And then now, pretty much, I've been around Demas for like almost like 10 years now. Wow. And he's like always bringing in new music kind of constantly. So that has helped my music timeline. I'm pretty solid throughout all the decades. But I'm curious what your guys' experience is. Where you, I know a lot of people actually get into music for certain periods of their life. You know what I mean? And then also may or may not get into genres outside the eras they personally lived in. I'm curious what you guys' take on that is.
It's interesting. I've never been like someone who's known like of like all of the music out there. Like I kind of just like hear like a specific song somewhere and then it gets in my head and I just want to keep like listening to it over and over again. So like I'll have like these various songs that are just like floating around my brain I can go and listen to that I know like really gets me pumped up, you know, I really want to get into.
Gotcha. Two things on that. One, I'm the same way, so it's very important on these Billboard 100s. I didn't get all the songs. I went through and just listened to each one of them.
Yeah, yeah. Found ones you really liked. Like
and I liked them more if I already had a resonance with them, then I added them. That meant like they were already in my catalog. But the other thing, it was a question for you, is because that's kind of how I did it. So where were you getting it then from? For me, I was kind of getting it from movies, TV, and I didn't have a lot of friends, but I would hear people talking about stuff, and I would just kind of know them talking about the music, and I would do it anywhere where like older people are talking, younger people are talking. I would just kind of like eavesdrop on them, and if I liked it, I would grab it. That's what I always kind of did. I would just sort of like ask people, "What's that playing?" That's something I always, you know, when I'm out somewhere, kind of tasting the food or the environment, I'll kind of ask if I hear a cool song, like, "What's that playing?" And then that's kind of how I grab it.
Yeah, like,
my collection's eclectic.
Yeah, that's kind of how it worked for me too. Like sometimes, like if I would hear someone talking about a song, or like if I was watching like a video, you know, and in the background they were playing a song, you know, I really liked that song. I'd go actually like find the, you know, the actual video that, you know, where it showed the full song. You know, I could listen to the whole thing. And then sometimes what I would also do is, like, if I liked this song from this particular band, I'd go check out the other songs from that same band and see if there were other songs that I liked. Usually there aren't more than like one or two songs from a given band that I'll be really into.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm curious if all guys are like that, but I'm definitely that way too. Go ahead.
Yeah. But there was this one band that I got really into like 5 years ago or something. It's Linkin Park. I'm sure you've heard of that. Because that band actually has like had like 5, 6 plus songs that I really liked. I still listen to it from time to time to this day, but I was like really into it.
Yeah, I've been to a Linkin Park concert.
That's something too. Like for me, taking stuff in is I know a lot of people got into music through like groups of friends that they hung out in certain locations where they're playing that kind of music, or album. But I didn't tend to do those two. I tend to actually go with just grabbing stuff I hear ambiently if I liked it. And then the other one is I like things that were dense. I wanted all goodies. And so the two ways you get goodies is probably the reason why I jump around a lot of eras. I like greatest hits.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to actually like figure out what's good about music, best thing to do is, because actually I was into like classical music and all kinds of music, and I always did the same thing. I'm like, I'd go in, I'd like get like the greatest hits. Chopin's greatest hits, anything great, get their greatest hits, and then from there, there'd be ones like, I really like that, and then I'd go pursue that artist more and get more of their song, expand that way. But I always kind of was like, for like economy of motion, I'm like, I want to be economical here, and there's just so much music out there, you can't possibly hear it all.
You can't just get like every single song that anyone's listening to and just you never get through them all. I mean, because there's more songs.
And you get all the juice out of them too.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of gotta go where the feeding's good, as it were.
So for me, another great tool for getting music that probably wasn't something you had growing up, Coach, is YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So that's really where I get most of my music. So I related to everything you guys have been saying, but I'll hear a song on the radio. I'll hear a song from a friend that'll recommend it, because I have some friends who are more into music, who actually do like get into bands and even concerts, even play music. And so I'll get one song, and then you go on YouTube and you'll get all these related songs, and you can listen to some of them. And often, sometimes you won't like a certain song, you don't have to listen to it. Blah blah. And another area where I get music too is also video games.
Yeah.
Soundtracks. I like video games.
Anime and video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you, Mitchell. I pretty much use YouTube now all the time.
But now YouTube is like ubiquitous.
It does. But I think earlier on you kind of had to seek it out a bit more. Even now, when you do it, you have to choose to use YouTube in that particular way, efficiently.
Right.
Which is very fun to do, but it's a great resource. Kind of like I found those. Was it actually video on YouTube? It was actually Google and Pix, but the same principle. Where Bruno asked for the sample. I went looking for it. I'm like, ooh, I got 14 more cool-looking samples here, just because they naturally.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm talking about. I found bands that I never heard of before, and then all of a sudden I start listening to their music because apparently it was related to a song I liked that I was listening to, and all of a sudden I'm really into them. And it's like this whole web of connections. Or whole genres of music.
Is that you're trying to basically get with the algorithm or the mind space they use. So like with what you're talking there, is they basically have an algorithm. Like whatever it is I clicked on that person, there was a related algorithm that, because a lot of times they do that up there, but it doesn't really help me. Either I have all those people already, or they're people that I don't care, they're not relevant. But this one was like, your algorithm is producing 14 samples I don't have that I really want. So that whatever algorithm you're doing, your needs and my needs right now, they coexist in productive harmony.
Yeah.
And another way that happens, kind of maybe more organic, one-to-one, is kind of like video games. I have gotten songs from video games, but I've probably gotten more songs, by and large, from movies. And a lot of times you get someone like, a Quentin Tarantino or anyone where they use a lot of good music, and they're basically picking it. So what you're actually getting is kind of the algorithm. You're actually getting his picks or her picks. And if they have taste, kind of the algorithm, if their personal taste aligns with yours, like, man, they have like a taste for good music that I don't know about yet. There's some people, Nee, by the way, is really great at that. I've noticed that there's certain directors that are knee shy. They have a propensity for putting together soundtracks. I'm like, that is sweet. That's a sweet soundtrack of music.
And they're knee shy composers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Making the music.
They make the music, and they they really know where things are. The cross-contextualizing, it really...
Yeah, I've got music from movies too now that I think about it.
They make
like Nijai composers.
These playlisting, I think collaging and cross-contextualizing really plays well into playlisting. Yeah. They do that really well.
I'm a big fan of Hans Zimmer, for example.
He's awesome.
Songs.
Hans a badass.
Have you guys used Spotify by any chance, or Pandora?
Eileen loves Spotify.
Yeah,
I use
that's also great for finding music you like, because it basically it's an algorithm that tries to find music that's related.
Oh my goodness!
Like
you and Eileen could pitch this together. She said she has sold it on the same merits.
I forgot to mention something. There's another cool app, by the way. It's not for finding music. It's because you already hear it. You guys ever heard of Shazam? It's an iPhone app. Really, really useful. If you're hearing something in the background, the app, I have it on my phone, you touch it here in this little button, and it listens to the music that you have, and it tells you what the name of the song is.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome. That's some Jedi music stuff right there.
It really, I've never seen it fail. It works every time. Like if I hear something on the radio and I can't see what it is, I'll use it that I like.
Demus probably knows about it already, but if not, he'd really like it. He probably already knows about it though.
I'm sure Demus does.
But yeah, luckily I live in a cave, but I actually have people that I know, like Jilene and Demus, that are into music. She gets them on Spotify, and he gets his from another route. But I basically get that all the time, so I luck out that way. And in my research, as I'm always researching people, I tend to do it. If ever I'm researching a subject, when I see in the sidebar they do some kind of art. I mean, if it has like a gazillion views, I'm like, well, what's this all about?
Yeah.
Just through Mojang, I actually get a lot of good songs that way, because you know what I mean. I'm like, 25.
A lot of times that can be really helpful. I mean, if it's stuff that really clicks for a lot of other people, I mean, the chances are higher it's going to click for you. I mean,
yes. And a lot of times, it sometimes won't necessarily be a lot of people, although I do use that as a barometer sometimes. A lot of times I was looking at the screensaver of the video, like the way they're singing. I'm like, I like their delivery. You know what I mean? Yeah, like you see me interview, you're like, okay, cool. But then in the sidebar, you kind of like, some singers kind of like Lizzie. You can tell just like a sidebar that like they got a different vibe to them than normal. It's intriguing. You're like, ooh, let me check it out. How about you, Glenn?
Oh, so like musical influences and that kind of thing. I think in the beginning, when I was just a little kid, it's very similar to your story, Coach. It was just mostly pop music. I was born in the 90s, so I was, I listened to a lot of like, Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera.
I listened to that. Like when I was like, I think like my sister played that for me when I was like really young, like Britney Spears and stuff.
I'll listen to that stuff.
A lot of like boy bands and girl bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, that kind of thing, and that was kind of like the thing. That was like the music that I used to listen to. And then there was also like music that would be in like TV shows, like animated cartoon TV shows. There would be like the introduction. Like there's an intro usually to like a show like Dragon Ball Z or maybe Power Rangers or something like that. The music that would be in the intro would be like really. It would get me hyped, and I would really like the music a lot.
You got a chord me there. Just right now I'm actually holding off on it because it's already really massive and I'm daunted and I just need to get done what I have done here. Not sure how I'm going to approach it, but I do have a lot of instrumental music where there's I'm not really addressing that, but yeah, is that movie scores. Like sometimes their main theme song, it can be so pumped. If I like that movie, I get the soundtrack and play the theme thing again and again. And also like TV shows, some of the best music out there is like the theme to like A-Team or Knight Rider's cheesy as it is. Knight Rider's got a pretty bitchin' theme.
But yeah, the movies bit like M83, Oblivion. Yeah, that one was. Yeah, it's just awesome, right? I mean, I think that was a Nijai that sang that one.
On that, I don't know if you guys experienced this, is that when it comes to music videos in general, I tend not to watch them. I tend to prefer watching the lyric videos.
Me too.
Yeah.
because I can imagine what I want. And if I really want the artist to hit me more with them, then I almost always want to see a live performance. So because I tend to prefer a live performance of the audience or a studio version with lyrics on the screen, I don't tend to like the music video.
Yeah, every once in a while there was a cool one, but for the most
Yes.
part.
Agreed.
It kind of depends on the music video for me.
But
Sometimes they do a really good job with the music video, and I think that's, you know, and I also want to be hit by the artist. And
Yes.
also it's a recording in the music video as opposed to a live performance. So they tend to the recording tends to be a little bit higher quality just because they've probably done it multiple times. But other than that, I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying.
yeah, I agree. I agree with you saying, Ben. They're
Yeah.
definitely in
Like lyric videos and audios.
I do like certain videos, but like generally, my simulator is better just all around. And a lot of times, they'll match something in a scene with the lyric that'll throw my simulator off, like it'll disagree with it. And so that kind of just throws experience off. Where if I'm just hearing their voice and seeing the words, I can put whatever images to that I want, and then there's no disagreement.
You can project more.
Exactly. But in the opposite of it, like one that actually I really feel moved is like sometimes there's pieces of music from a movie and the scene, because I tend to find like the acting, whatever you want to call it, the performance in like music videos, it seems a bit like overly staged, whereas like movies a lot of times the acting is done in a very realistic fashion. It's very quite moving. So like there's a lot of cool scenes like from The Mission or Platoon. What's the other one? Rob Roy. Ones where there's like these very dramatic music, but there's also very dramatic scene, and they're like fused together in my mind. And like whenever I hear that song, it's amplified by I love that scene, and that scene comes up like yeah.
And sometimes they'll take scenes from movie and overlay music
Yeah.
onto it, and that can be really cool.
It can be very powerful.
How much do you guys enjoy like animated music videos, or not necessarily animated, but just like a mashup of like different scenes that people come up with on YouTube and stuff, and they just put the music on?
Oh, AMVs.
Yeah,
I used to
AMVs.
be really into those.
I can enjoy them quite a bit because I find that I can project more onto it than I can to say an actual person, even if it's fantastical. That one thing I've noticed, this is me, when they're collages, there's more of a chance that I'll be bothered. What I tend to do is I like, what do you call them, A to Bs? I like it when there's a single author, and I'll find I like the way they do it, and then they're doing it that animated style throughout the entire piece. I like it more where it is an animated style, but it's one kind of vision. And then I'll tend to like that, and I'll tend to watch more of their videos because I like the style they do it in. Not that you can't collage them together and get a really cool effect, but it's more chance of, I don't know, incongruent or something. I don't know.
Incongruencies, yeah, I think that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like animated though. I mean, like, I know there's like certain TV shows that I watch.
Like clips together from like.
Yeah, clips and the message in the song and the mood that's being portrayed in the scenes match up really well, and then it can cause.
Yes, I do like that. But again, I quite understand what you're saying. Yes, I do like that because that can be done by like a single author. Like there's a song by Michael Bolton, "When I'm Back on My Feet Again," which I really like. It's a powerful song, and it's one of those things you're talking about where someone actually picked just a lot of really great images. Some are like drawn art, and others are actually photographs from real life, but they just match it perfectly to what's being said at the time, and it just has a powerful effect. I like it quite a bit.
And when it comes to music videos, I'm actually kind of like a little bit the opposite. I usually, not necessarily the opposite, but I like really have a lot of momentum, I guess you can say, in watching just the music videos like as they're produced kind of, you know, by the artist and stuff. And then I might, if I really like the song, if I really like the music, then I'll try and find different ways I can enjoy that kind of song, like maybe with lyrics, maybe with a different kind of thing, maybe just by itself as music. And it's interesting. I'm a little bit, I'll work a little bit backwards in that sense, but it's interesting hearing you guys talk about like how you start the other way, which is more just the music, and so you can project onto the music whatever it is that you want to. I find myself, I don't always hear what the person is saying very clearly sometimes.
That's a whole other topic, sir. Good one.
Yeah, I relate to that pretty heavily.
That's why I like the lyrics.
Yeah, the lyrics
videos are really useful for that.
I'm like, what is this person saying? They have like such an interesting way that they said that lyric. Or that
yeah, they're trying to make it sound good. So in the process of doing that, sometimes you're not always saying, like there's this video where Naiji Nigahika is making fun of like rap artists, and he says that like he does it. He just says the lyrics and it sounds horrible, but then he actually like slurs his words in the way they do and adds this kind of catchy beat to it. Because it makes it sound good, but it's harder to understand.
Sometimes I actually like that. Like, there's songs that I prefer to not know what they're saying. Like, I actually have like looked.
Yeah, I like to imagine kind of like they said something else. I don't know.
And so, ever done this before? It's one of the cool powers of actually, the Naiji issues of memory. Is I've always been very just naturally I have to watch not to do this, so it's kind of cool to happen naturally. Is I'll hear a song and I'll hear what I think the lyrics are and I have a cool vision off of it. I like it so much, I'm like, I don't look that song up. I look it up, I look at the lyrics, like, oh, they don't match. I don't like these lyrics.
Yeah, why didn't they say this?
But then, here's the magic trick. I then afterwards forget the right lyrics. Like they get suppressed after I go away from having seen them written down, and then from then on, when I hear the song, I'm like in this forgotten state, and I can go back to like where I don't hear what they're saying.
Coach, that also gets into the music video as well, because the music video often tells a story that's maybe different than how you initially interpreted the song.
I totally relate to that. Yeah, it's sort of like in your mind, like if you're reading a book, for example, right? I don't really read books, but I tend to listen to audiobooks, and then in my head I have like a way in which I understand the story. It's like, okay, so this happened, and then you kind of imagine the people looking a certain way, and you kind of imagine the scenery being a certain way. All something that comes from your your simulator. But then when you see it like being done in real life, then you're like, what's this? It's kind of like throws you off. It doesn't. It sort of seems like I don't know if I like this. But yeah, I mean, I totally relate. Even with music videos, it's the same thing. Because that's the same thing. It's like a story, right? It's just a story, but done with like a beat and melody and vocals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, totally agree.
All art is story, whether you know what the story is or not, and if you convey it in an image on a canvas or in a 3-minute song or a book or whatever, try to tell some kind of story.
All life is basically a story in a way, right?
Oh, yeah.
All life, all natural life.
Art has
It's interesting though, because like.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. You're saying?
Oh, it's interesting though, because some songs are like so abstract that like you almost like. I almost find it hard to kind of get my own idea of what they're saying without like looking at like a music video or something. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, like because like the artist may have like a very abstract, high level story in their head using words that most people wouldn't really understand unless they gave more information. So that's another situation. It doesn't happen a whole lot, but I have found that sometimes that.
Yeah, when you're not able to follow what's going on in the story, you're like, what's going on here?
It might sound like complete gibberish otherwise if you don't get what
on that is that Nijai can be really awesome in that regard, in that they can do stuff with like their Jai, I've noticed, where actually all the Jai actual musicians can do this. The Jai V, Vijay, and the Jaini, they all have the ability to like a lot of times they'll say like a word like my baby, and they'll like make that last word last like forever, and you can like hear the mood they are in when they're saying that word, and the word is just my baby, but it can sound happy or really sad or really angry by how they say it and drag that note out.
Yeah, like a shy droll.
Yeah,
that's tremendous. I noticed they use it to great effect.
How intense, how long, and like the tonal note of it, they can say so much without actually saying a word or just using a simple word, but making it has all this meaning. That's really cool. I admire that a lot.
Yeah.
Totally.
But
yeah, sometimes like you listen to a song, you even maybe watch the music video, you watch like all these different variations, and then you're looking in the comments in the YouTube, and you're just like, what is this song about? I don't get it. And then you want to like search it up on song meanings or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I told you that site too, but
hold on. So it's basically the person in the story is doing this and that, and then this happens. And it's like, oh, okay, or it's like, does that really make sense?
But sometimes like I find that my interpretation of the song is like completely different than like everyone else's. Like my Go-Those sites are like, well, this is what this means. It's about I don't know, corporate America, whatever. You know, I see it completely different, and
But the cool thing about art, though, is that you can project your own.
yeah, you can
And
kind
it's
of.
something out of it the artist didn't intend.
Multiple meanings. It's really like unparalleled network ability.
Yeah, completely just open to all kinds of interpretation. You can. I think a really good music artist has to where they can. Their music is capable. Their art is capable of being interpreted by many different people, many different lenses, many different kinds of
Has life of its own.
ways. And that makes it more. That makes it more popular in a way too. I think.
I think that's why some artists maybe choose to make their songs a little less straightforward. You know, a little bit more like poetic, you know, and abstract, so people can apply their kind of interpret things based on their story. Develop their own meaning from it.
Absolutely, impressionistic music.
But there are I think that's a very interpretive kind of way of doing it. Mainly Naiji, I think, tend to do that. But I'll of course.
Oh no, I've seen ad-roms do that.
Exactly, I know. There's all kinds of interpretive mojos. But I mean, in music, there mainly tend to be Naiji, was basically what I'm trying to say. But the Vaiji is really interesting.
There's a lot of the strong, the Nijai.
No, ad-rom females.
Yeah, and among the guys, the Nijai males are right up there with the Naiji in numbers. They're really super well represented.
Oh, okay. Well, correction on my part then. But there's also, what I've noticed interesting about the Vaiji is when they do their country music, not always necessarily country music, but they tend to talk about sort of I like sitting on the porch eating my barbecue, with these people.
Yeah, and there are certain IG too, like rappers, where they'll try and make the message a lot more explicit too, because they're doing a B kind of spell.
More.
But there's to the rap as far as the tone. Although they're talking about physical things, there's a much more controversial quality to the rapping content.
Oh yeah.
It's generally you're doing taboo behavior.
Yeah, it's like physical things you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
But I'm doing it and enjoying it, and you can't stop me.
Exactly. Whereas the Vaiji are also kind of saying, this is what I do, but what they're doing, it tends to be a bit kind of earthy.
Yeah.
Earthy things I
Very
do.
different, yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Anything before we move on to the other topic, I think. Just you were saying, Glenn, about the use of the metaphor. I think it is used by both the Naiji and the Nijai. The difference is...
Even Johnny.
Oh yeah, for sure. Basically, say the directives and the adapters on that one. They'll say the Nai mojos, emojos. The difference is you can be poetic and use metaphor, which has multiple meanings and ways of being addressed and interpreted, but left open.
That's
That's more the way Ni does it. Nai, which is kind of interesting, because interpretive is seen as more adaptive, but actually interpretive can be directed. That's how Nai does it, which is it uses not like the one I did, the Coach in the Cave. There's a lot of use of metaphor in there, metaphor and even really an ongoing analogy with the dragon. And so in the course of that, most of the language is not anything realistic, practical, you know what I mean, specifically applicable. But the tone and the sort of emotional or character expectation in Nai work, with Naiji, for example, and all their genres, there's more of an expectancy for you to feel something and be moved to go a certain way. Where the Ni, which is also really cool too, the Jai, they want you to be moved, but you can't just let that move whoever moves you. We're all moved together, like tragedy, and they're just going to wail about tragedy, and then you're just supposed to feel that, and that does what it does. Nai's sort of with Ji, this is such and such because it's such and such, that's why we're pumped up, that's why you do this, go do that. Now they'll say that poetic language, not specifically saying it, but they will say revolution. You know what I mean? They'll tell you that feeling you're having inside, that's revolution. They'll kind of, you know what I mean? Like, see those drums I'm pounding? The reason you're getting pumped up is because you're feeling like, what? Revolution. That's right. That's it. And a lot throughout the decades, like the Naiji art, it is a lot more kind of like saying, this is the lifestyle renegades do. In the old days, like, we get whiskey and we go listen to jazz records and hang out across the border with, all kinds of ethnicities. That was considered very scandalous. And a lot of the Niji artists back then, the Niji artists would talk about it's fun to party with whoever you party with. A lot of Niji band leaders, they, of course, were big on the multiculturalism. But sort of like, hey, it's a party, what happens, happens. You know what I mean? Which is how they get the illicit stuff to go by. But Niji artists more like, this is the way it should be. You should rock and roll at night. You should rock and roll all night. You should go get your friend, make them rock and roll. Those people that say rock and roll isn't good, you go make them understand it. Like they basically give you marching orders.
It has like a directionality to it.
It does. Poetry, marching orders.
Yes.
Mission instructions.
Yeah, very good.
But ironically, they do share the, not ironic, but interesting enough, they share the vagueness.
Sure.
Okay, we got maybe like 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and jump into this other thing, which was, I'll let someone else be in charge. I'll just tell you what the names are. So this person, whoever's handling it, I'm going to put the chat. Leslie Doohan is the person that Bruno had me look up. She was Niji. And then when I saw her, I found some other people. So let's take a look at them. I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are. I'll go ahead and tell you these first ones. I have some soft impressions, but they are very soft. I scanned very quickly. I think that I may have seen 3 Niji and a Zaini, and that's where I stopped. The ones I looked at real quick, let's look at Jessica Scorpio. I think this might be a Niji, but I would like to see more video.
So she's one of the suggestions after I put in Leslie Doohan.
Yeah.
See? Yes. Technology, you have.
Okay, interesting.
Marketing.
So we're doing Mojo rating a little bit?
Yeah, we are. So if we get past these first few, it'll just be from flat. But I'm telling you, these first 4, I took a very quick look at, and I thought I might be seeing 3 Niji and a Zaini, but we will see. Who's putting up the videos?
Oh, we're putting up videos right now. Okay.
Let's put up Jessica or Jennifer Scorpio.
I can get it if no one is, but if someone has it, you're welcome. Go ahead.
So Jessica Scorpio, let's take a look at her. Somebody pull the video up, please.
I'll need the link, by the way.
All right. I found a video. Chat, and then I'll add to the playlist.
Facing today.
Is this style video not what we want, or do we want something else?
If you get better ones, we can.
So that's
but I will work on this if I have to, because I'm particularly interested.
Okay. I'll go ahead and get another. Well, we can stick with this one, and then we can switch.
Try to see if you can get an interview style first, and then after we use those up, we can go to these kind of presentation style.
Okay, that sounds good.
Kind of propel what we helped to foster, which was the sharing economy. So with this problem, 22 billion car hours.
All right.
So if I
So what
want
I'm-
to use,
Let me freeze it. All right, so here's things I'm noticing right away, and these are what I noticed when I first looked at her just a little bit ago, is I'm hearing a heaviness in the voice that sounds like jive, and her delivery is deadpan. She has a kind of up and out energy, although it's a bit shyer, and so this is looking like probably is a Nijai, but I also have seen Zenai that can have similar kind of energy coming off of them. But also kind of like that sort of the shape of the face, it's a bit more of the squarish shape that you see more of the objectives. Both the gatherers and the pilots share that. And these sciencey Nijai and Zenai, who are into humanitarian causes, they can have a lot of crossover in their riff. So I like to watch a little bit more of her, but I'm leaning towards Nijai, but I want to rule out Zenai.
Interesting.
I'm looking at the mouth in pictures, and it looks unaware to me.
Yeah, that's why I'm pretty sure it's a Jai and Z user.
Yeah, and the emphasis does seem to be on the bottom left. So yeah, probably Nijai and Zenai is what I'm going back and forth with as well.
This hand's also the Gumby gesturing, the wiggly gesturing of all the gatherers. There is a similarity, not in the tensioning, but I would say just sort of like in the digit distribution and maybe even some basic construction. Whereas we know, for example, that the hunters and the towers, again, difference in tensioning, but they both have the longer digits. There is a bit more of a shorter, or more like a, same like the face is longer with towers and hunters. The hands are a bit more squarish, less elongated than a hunter's is. So like here, if you look at her fingers, they're stretched out here. I don't know, there just seems to be a bit more of an overall square, circle-ish shape to its silhouette as compared to a rectangle or oval. You know what I mean? Like Hunter and Towers, their digits, you would kind of give them like a general, like large silhouette. It would be more of an oval or a rectangle, elongated. Whereas the face and the gestures of the pilots and the gatherers tends to be more of a circular, squarish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, let's watch a little more here.
She has a lot of very good poise, though. She's got like that straight back, and she's very trying to be professional here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's a lot of, I think she has a good decent amount of Z going on. And there's something about the way that she smiles. It reminded me of someone else that I know that is a Nijai, and it reminded me of how she smiles, and so there was a bit of a connection there. I figured that there was, you know, that's probably some crossover there.
I'm having a similar experience on the mouth and also the voice, the where it kind of has heavy while being very technical. There's several Nijai academics.
I've heard of Nijai that kind of have a voice that sounds like that.
No, generally the idea is that this gives people an option other than owning a pet, and so the statistics are extremely powerful.
The articulation is good, but it does seem like it's a little fluttery.
Yeah, it does seem like it's
coming out of the back
totally.
A little bit.
There's a little bit of an unsureness.
Yeah.
Unsureness and a little like bop 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 as opposed to sure like zoom 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 out in front. The Zenai.
Yeah. Zenai they just go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pilots.
I believe this is a Nijai.
Like the pilots, like there's the going, and then they have to restrain themselves. That's like the real. Whereas with any adaptive, it's really the opposite. They're going to be restraining, at least in that way, is easier, and they have to kind of reach out.
Yeah, the talking, the coming out, the kind of speaking in that articulated kind of way, and talking about like principles or anything that has to do with like natural law or like any kind of like details, it's something that they have a lot more harder time with, and it's sort of like they're a little bit more shaky as they come out and bring you like whatever it is that they are trying to share as far as like their world.
That is a really cool kind of like bouncy, clever energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You guys see she has little side-to-side bobbles of the head, although she's using
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
well, give her like a nice poise, but the bobble gets in there and it's still just cool to see. When she does give moding, she's mainly going deadpan here in delivery, but every now and then she'll do like a full clench down or a smile, and I do think I'm seeing the cheeks go apple. It is going above the midline. Although she's keeping it the Jai tamped down here mostly. But I can still hear the voice a lot. She's trying to keep from showing, but you keep hearing those Jai catches. In all the words, I can hear that Jai a lot. It gives a slight tremulous quality.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
does. I
I'm
was
hearing
just
that.
thinking the same thing.
Okay, cool. So we'll go Nijai on her. That was Jessica Scorpio. Okay, let's take a look at Jennifer Fan, F-A-N.
She Asian?
F-A-N-N?
Just F-A-N.
Okay, just F-A-N. Okay.
If we can't get
Okay.
enough, I can try to find someone else.
Yeah. I think I know where I'm going with her as well.
I think this is her.
Wall Street person.
You know, she has the more Asiatic sort of
Here's a-
features.
Here's a picture of her.
Or are we talking about Leslie Doohan?
No.
Oh, okay. There.
Yep. So the video I sent is her.
Cool.
Excellent.
And actually, I linked to a video in a playlist, so like you can, if you were to just follow that playlist, you could get more videos from it. But I'll put it in the YouTube app. There we go.
Again, I'm thinking I'm seeing Objective and Z and Jai. I'm not sure about where you guys are at.
I only just looked at her, but
agricultural commodities,
For me, this was
as well as
another,
metals.
just
and
what I initially got when I was looking at her.
And you got
Is I thought I was seeing again that possible Nijai Zenai
right.
thing going on. The face anyway. There's also ethnicity factor here. But with that said, the face does have a bit more of the square circle quality rather than elongated, column. Like Subjective does. Okay, that flare just there. It's kind of like did this and there's a lot of energy in the lower lip.
yeah, I'm seeing that. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
More traditional things.
And you got out and you went directly to Oxford at age 19.
Yeah, so I actually got my first job, which was my internship.
Well, it's tricky with the
years
sometimes certain
before I-
the Asiatic
before I graduated, and that was
variants
at Bank of America
is that
in the energy
cheeks,
derivatives group. And
because
I
of their
was
skin,
focused on trading commodities
um,
at that time. And when I graduated,
sort of
I just came back.
topical qualities, aesthetic wise, but then also the bone structure sometimes can be a bit more
Wasn't
flat.
family yet.
Is distinguishing sheerness properly. I've noticed that in some of the Asiatic
I'm still in my late
samples I've
20s.
seen that that's something to have to look out for. Particularly certain ones like a Korean, Mongolian. There's other ones where it's very pronounced. Like the bone structure kind of can give the appearance where everyone, like, is everyone from that country the logic based?
Yeah.
And I think particularly in commodities, the decade
And that would kind of like,
2000
well, that kind of goes like to the side like this sometimes. I don't know. It's
from
insane.
that commodities trading
She
used
looks
to
like
be
she's
kind
doing
of
that
80s and 90s.
Jai Z
The
wrestling
rise
that
of
tends to
different
happen when
countries
Nijai are
through
being
the
very
2000s,
technical
the rise of
or
electronic
Zenai are very
trading. And when I
impassioned.
started,
Do you mean?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
tickets And so
She's
you're
there's,
using either of them
she's
to
seeing hard here, but her lower lip is like doing this shy wiggle at the same time.
Yeah.
I know, I see that. It's definitely a lot of movement with the bottom lip there.
Yeah.
You decided that didn't last all that long, and then you decided.
Yeah, but her I hear less
on your own, right?
tremoleness at least than I did with the last person. I don't know what that means. I'm not saying she's I'm just
No, agreed. I'll definitely say this.
she's more on point a little bit with her energy.
She's more engaged,
It's a
for
very
sure, yeah.
individualistic thing in a lot of ways.
She's ambling here a lot
and I've
more.
always
That's,
kind of
also.
enjoyed working on a
Yes.
big desk and having the camaraderie
So less tremulous,
of kind of fellow critters and fellow
more
portfolio
steady
managers. So
articulation,
Yeah.
more jutting.
you know, a little bit different.
Yeah.
but I
She's
think
very
that
used to articulating in this kind of a fashion, and so naturally that has given to confidence in this area.
important
With that
kind of
said,
work with a
though,
lot of people and have a
I
lot
think
of,
I'm
you know,
hearing less tremulous, but I do think I'm hearing still a significant heaviness of Jai. Her voice seems rather heavy-tongued with Jai,
Yeah.
though not tremulous.
Yeah, she definitely has a lot of a heavy voice. Like it is kind
The
of like
eyes look kind of.
well, I think
She was
that
quite
more
engaged.
towards Byfield with eyes.
comes to
I thought so too. Right then when she was listening, I got kind of like a Byfield Bandit thing. I saw her eyes like, well, she was like drinking. I thought.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah, I'm eating a lot of drinking and.
to also work with really high quality, long-term, smart investors, which we're lucky enough to partner with.
This is interesting because
To me, it's less
there's a lot of
about
Nijai
quantity
in
than
technology, invention, things of that nature. But I don't know off the top of my head if we have one
Like finance.
in finance.
Not too many. There are some Nijai economists,
That's the
so
same.
clearly they can do that sort of thing. But
Yeah. But I think are those
I think that
mainly males, aren't
I
they?
think there's some females.
Are there? Okay, cool. Thank you.
I'm fairly sure.
She,
Okay.
she
I think
she
Nijai
did some emoting and it looks like it was going into her cheeks.
I think it is. The more I'm getting used to seeing her cheeks and how they kind of react, I do think I am seeing it travel up there.
Oh, sorry, Glenn, I might have cut you off there.
Well, I was just saying, I think Nijai are quite represented in accounting or like those kinds of fields. I think so. I think I've known people like that.
I don't have the data for that either from personal experience or from the samples. We don't have a lot of. We have some finance people, but it's not a big area. We'll need to look more into that one. What we have seen in finance, it does seem to have more ad serves. Ad serves seem to be pretty.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
And Xenon.
Yes. Right there. That looked like a lot of Jai, and when she went right there, I thought it went up in that one cheek a lot, and she's okay. I think he's Jai.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't look like she's got isolation
Yeah,
localized
pretty
shy.
sure.
There it is. Nijai.
And like when I look at her pictures too, she just has this very like her eyes have this sort of just delighted drinking and look like I don't really get the hunting signal from them so much.
And she was
Yeah, or just like the the hard, the more harder Z kind of look.
all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Next one is Rachel, last name Haot.
Yeah, that was one of the suggestions.
You have also found the loop. Wow.
And then maybe next year's going to be Catherine Minshew.
Not next. But yes, he's on the 14.
Oh, did you want me to get a link to this one?
Hmm.
Go ahead.
All right.
I'm looking at pictures, and I think, I think I have a feeling about her as well. You were saying, Coach, there was like you read most of them as Nijai, and then I think one of them was Zaini.
I was actually gathering them, and then I was right before it came on, and then I just took a quick look at the first four. I thought maybe it was 3 Nijai and a Zaini, but I looked very quick. So now,
Sorry, Coach.
and then after those 4, I didn't really look at them at all.
Oh, I see. So these are still the 4?
Yes. This one, the next one.
So growing up, I
Soft read her was Ni Zhai, but I would like to rule out Zenai, and even also perhaps Zhaini. She's kind of long.
Yeah, I see that.
Actually, with her Zhai, I'm actually, for her, I'm kind of between Ni Zhai and Zhaini, or maybe even Nai Z. But she seems long.
Yeah, she has kind of a longer face.
But right there, I'm ruling out Nai Z. That's going to the cheeks too much.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Adram. The amount of knee makes me think Ni Zhai, but her length, I would like to view her video a bit more.
Definitely terrified.
I feel sure.
Launching dinosaurs. It's very risky.
She just loves eyes, though. She pops. You know, she goes forward and then pops them.
And while it can be easy to start, it's incredibly difficult to.
And her head tosses are rather quick.
Most entrepreneurs.
She perks her eyes up a little bit there.
Certainly one of the harder decisions and times for me was at the end of 2008.
I'd like to see her gesturing.
Comes to the end of funding that I spent.
Yeah.
Kind of CNC between Gumby and Franzi.
And figure out exactly what I was going to do in a pretty short period of time. And there was disappointment wrapped in that because my hopes for ground report had been that
Her cadence
take off wildly and
is pretty quick, and her shoulder, her head movements, and also her voice has a kind of a little bit more of a jazzy cadence that the gatherers have as compared to the towers.
Mm-hmm.
to do more, and that was when I saw the road advertised. I don't know what I would have told myself on day one.
With that said, I'm still keen to see those digits.
I think one of the things that really surprised me was the power of the digital know-how.
She has quite a bit of bobble.
Yeah.
And I do see her hands come up a little bit every time she does a little bit gesturing.
And a lot of Zhai, like there's poignancy in her words.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of Zhai.
It's tricky because she has like that longer neck and the longer face.
Yeah.
That could just be the physical.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at pictures, and her eyes seem to look like they pop out a little bit. I'm not sure.
Well, she's definitely popping her eyes here a bit, and her cadence is quick too. Fingers a little long though. Is there another video? Let's see another video.
Yeah. Let's see if I get one. Okay, I think this one might have gesturing. Playlist.
Things or weigh all the different options. My name is Rachel House. I'm the city's chief digital officer, and my goal is to realize New York City's digital potential as a leading digital city across the areas.
Is that Tower Tunnel?
I'm not sure.
Look at her hands.
And Gadget expand because
She's a little tricky.
the event itself really reflects the growth of technology in New York City, the fact that so many people are coming here.
And I feel like she moves around a lot, and that seems
Does.
really natural to her.
Yeah.
Electronics or 3D
Look at her hands.
Yeah. Okay, her fingers are long, but she looks like she splays them like the gatherers do, not like the towers do.
Displays them?
Yeah, the gatherers kind of do it like this, like they're juggling balls.
Oh, okay.
The towers look like they're almost like lightly tracing something, lightly heading it quality.
Okay, I gotcha.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks, the Gumby looks more like grabby in a way, right? Like they're
It's more
cupping
grabby.
something.
Exactly. So it's wiggly, which is what makes it yin, but it's more yang than towers because what you just said there, it does look like it's tensing to grab something. So that what you're noting there, that's that slight tensional difference between the tower to gatherers.
Mm-hmm.
But both would be classified as loose baseline, but they are degrees.
Totally.
Making sure that more young people know how to code.
I think she just might be a Ni Zhai, maybe with longer features, longer.
Yeah, I want to let drink it a bit more, but so far I'm not really seeing anything except her length that's bothering me, because the eyes are popping, her cadence is quick. the Zhai is too heavy and going up too much, I think, for it to be one of the dirt.
IZ.
Yeah, Nizi or
seems like it'd be
I'm
unlikely.
sure it's an Avrom. And her cadence is just consistently quick. And the eyes keep going pop, 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 pop. And
Yeah, like for a Zhai, they can be quick, but it would look more manic, I think.
would.
Yeah, it would definitely
They
look
have
more
to- It
frantic.
takes a lot more energy. Like when Naiji doing a lot of G really fast, like we look really, really intense in a way that a G9 wouldn't.
Yeah.
They're more solid.
And see also too here, do you see her hands? Right. Those fingers are longer, but one thing is that the this slight cupping motion here is a bit of tensioning. It's just slight, but the gathers tend to have that slight cupping motion. Whereas if you look at the towers, the palm
Total flat.
more.
Yes, palm.
Right.
Although the fingers are very quite wiggly, the gatherers have a little bit of a power arc starting in the cup of their palm, the palm of their hand. The
Right.
power can also be seen a little bit here. When the fingers are up like this, you can see the palm tension a little bit, but this is something else. Also hinting at a slight power arc. The fingers look loose, so it looks like an adaptive. But I've mentioned this before, it's part of the Gumby, the claw aspect of things, is the fingers are more together in like a little structure. They almost look like a plant growing there.
Yeah.
Whereas with the towers, it looks almost like the fingers are dangling. It can look, in a way, especially the directives, like their fingers are almost unsafe. You guys know if maybe doing anything physical, to have your body have like no tension in it is like a way to actually like get something broken. and towers, the way they naturally hold their fingers, they almost like they're just brand hanging off the end. Here, there is it's like a plant, so it is wiggly, but I can see like a little bit of a trunk on the base of each digit. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Whereas like the towers, like this thing here, they tend to do a lot that you don't see so much with the gathers. Is this extra nodal break in the wrist? We saw the flattening of the palm of the hand, but also this here, this depressed lack of tensioning in these knuckles. The knuckles,
Yeah. It's,
the fingers, there's like so the fingers look like they're almost just like trailing off. Here, those digits of hers look wiggly, but I notice a little tension in the base of them that seems more than a Zhiny would have.
Yeah.
it's really interesting because like for me, it's really hard to even maintain this kind of
Yeah.
this kind of position with my hand. I remember when I was younger, I was able to bring my fingers more back, but it's really hard. So there's so much tension in the joints, and my hands just naturally want to be like this. They just
Yeah,
wanna,
mine too. I've been pretty tense.
it's interesting that way. Towers, they're able to get away with this kind of thing, and I've seen people like in school raise their hand, and some of the girls that I noticed, they were like able to do this kind of like really weird contortionist kind of thing with their hands. They were just like, how are they able to do that? Then I try to imitate it, and then it would just kind of look me out. It was just
I can do some
different.
crazy shit with my hands and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's more common with like towers and stuff.
Also, if you can do it, it is a bit of contortioning.
Yeah.
One thing you can never do is it just goes into
Like
that.
it's never natural state for me.
Never natural. Like
that. I mean,
yeah, do various things, but I can't just ask it to like hand. I'm going to release my tension on you. Just collapse. Like it doesn't do that. I can make it drape. Do you know what I mean? I can imitate a draping hand. You know what I mean? Things like that. But like, I have to like make.
I move my arm out, and it's like it looks like I'm teaching a lesson. I mean, like it's like, oh, like look at this, look at this thing that I'm showing you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially on the push and pull between the discernments and the perceptions, because for the perceivers, the hunters and the gatherers, that's actually less of differential, because for an adaptive, the gatherers do have a little bit of tensioning that gives them the wiggly kind of claw action. And the hunters are directive, but they have like this slicing through the air, but they don't keep as much constant tension like a pilot does. There is a want for economy, and because of that, they don't tend to take up as much space with their gesturing, although it is slicing and projected. So in that, they're like minor momentum and minor modulation apart. But where it switches is in the eyes. The eye play. That's what we're noticing here. We notice in the samples too is that a lot of times the knee jive deal has like this like eye play, like blinking in, drinking in, back and forth. The way they are able to receive like that, it coincides with the strongest signal for hunters, which is the piercing gaze. And that piercing gaze can be an issue for some people, but actually gatherers, particularly the right kind of gatherer, is designed where they actually require that. You know what I mean? To feel like things are interesting and going well, and also to steady them. Just like for us to actually feel like we are safe and can go forward, we need those eyes pulling us out. So there's a heavy pulling out, and then for us a heavy boring in. But then there's also the sub dance of responding to the baseline gesturing. But I'm imagining for pilots to towers, the inspirational dance as it relates to like the smiling. You know what I mean? Because a lot of discernment happens in the smiling mouth and cheek area, and also the tensioning of the hands. I would imagine that the tensioning a pilot has in their hands says a lot about their discernment power. I think that they feel that a lot, and vice versa. I'm sure the pilots would be inspired by the languidness of a tower hand. I find it fascinating. That's just sort of like through evolution, whether they know or not, kind of like things you like. Pilots, like say Genie, they've evolved to like Genie, but Genie tend to actually have elongated digits with exceptionally low baseline tensioning. So you know what I mean? I'm sure that's evolved as well. That inside pilots, I don't know why, but I like elongated. I like long lines with flowing languidness. You know what I mean? And they might not know why they like that. That's why I think it gets really interesting when the media maybe hijacks people's peak path where they teach you VJI is what's hot, and then everybody's trying to do VJI stuff. It gets
oh my gosh! Yeah. I can't tell you. I'm sure the IG singing songs about that.
Yeah. All right, so I'll watch a little bit more here, but I think I'm seeing these shots. But that sometimes when we sit through it's good. I'll do that when I'm doing a read where I'm I want to make sure I'm getting this. I'll think I have it. I'll take a break and watch something else, or just pace for a little bit and then come back. I find it's helpful sometimes. I just kind of shake yourself out. All right.
Yeah, because sometimes I lose a lot of confidence when I just leave the sample. In my head, it's just what I think that it's not that, So,
yeah. And also, if on the confidence there, if I just resolved it, sometimes resolving it took a lot out or enough where I felt it, and so that can make me feel a little shaky. So I don't want to move on right away. I'll actually I think I have it. I'll take a little break, and then come back and look that's
so, you need to take a break to have more energy to finish it.
Exactly to get a final confirm. Agreed.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get that here.
In a way, I'm getting a bit of a riff of Adelaide Kane.
A little bit, I can see that.
There's definitely little things.
Not quite as sensuous or pillowy in the lips, but I see what you're saying overall.
There's a little bit more of a longerness, I think, in the face.
Yeah. Their gestures, they're long, but they keep doing the things you see gatherers tend to do. All right, we're going to go for Niji on her. Last one that I took a look at, and I was actually looking at when we started this, is, I think, possibly a signing. Danielle Fong.
Danielle Fong?
Fong, F-O-N-G.
Okay.
From American Pickers?
No.
Is this person male?
I'm not sure. Maybe transgender. I'm not sure, actually.
Is it Daniel or Danielle? Like,
it's this person.
Yeah, I want to get some. I have no idea what's popping in my YouTube or my Google.
I never see that pic. That's the person I was looking at earlier today.
Oh, cool.
oh, okay. Then the person I have on YouTube is not that. Yeah, Danielle. So I need to switch to that. Okay, there we go. TED Talk isn't really what we want.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not. I think she is. I think she is different.
All right, I've
Getting
got
a different
video.
kind of energy from her. Although might be wrong, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, what I got from her right away was she seemed elongated in spine, limb, and the neck and head, and then I didn't see emoting going above the midline, but that's as far as it went. So I'm thinking maybe Zaini, but maybe something else, maybe Nizi or something else, I don't know.
Sure. Oh, is there a link?
Oh yeah, I'll put in the chat.
I'm kind of leaning with Hunter a little bit. I don't know.
I considered that.
There is something going on there. I'm not sure what
Every
it
now
is.
and then she does things that remind me of a Demas. I'm wondering about that.
Yeah, for some reason her voice kind of reminds me of Demas somewhat. Sounds like spidery, sort of.
She does a lot with Impassioned Logician on her topic she's into. So she has strong direct development, whatever she is. When she did the finger thing, I thought I saw that characteristic pronounced break in the wrist that you see with the towers, particularly the Nez towers.
What? I think I've seen that with the shoulders, the way that they look. There's something interesting about that, Coach. The way that I think, if she is a Zaini, the way that they kind of have, they hold their shoulders, it looks interesting. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, if she's a Zaini, then she's leaning forward to be in presentation mode. One thing for sure, I'm pretty sure she's subjective because she keeps looking down and
Away.
while she's doing it, and it seems to be more comfortable for her.
Channeling that.
And I've not seen the cheeks move, so I'm thinking subserve. But her shoulders, although lean forward, there's not a lot of tension in them. Different than like the Hunter hunch, it almost looks sort of collapsed. And the Zaini can have like this sort of bird-like quality, not like a hunter bird, but more like a stork or something.
Like a penguin?
No, long, like stork.
No.
That's more or less. That brings me up to the next part, which is like why it's so critical, why it's so urgent.
Yeah, so you took it
The gesturing was pretty interesting. It looks pretty like loose and quick.
Yeah.
in your opinion, what's so urgent?
She has a lot of heaviness in the voice.
Let's see another video. I want to get a couple cross-contextualized in this one.
I tried to tell a story that simplifies things then, but
Oh, you want another video, Coach?
Yeah, I think I've got what I can from this one. I'd like to cross-reference it to see.
All right.
climate change.
See here.
Worse, there are certain positive feedback loops.
That gesture there was a little long.
I think this one might work.
But try to get across the magnitude of the continent. So there is international agreements today.
Oh, this is like a
Presentation.
You're gesturing quite clearly.
This
Though.
is actually, I think it's actually not bad. You,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of gesturing. You're seeing
Yeah,
him
the
move
gesturing
and
really
stuff.
helps out.
And yeah. Alright, so this is who's not do that. But if you look close,
Yeah, that looks pretty adaptive to me.
It does. The way she's doing a little, and here it's.
Yeah, like this. Yeah.
Her fingers are not as long, but I feel like they're still. They're
That's-
very much like.
Agreed, Glenn. That's what I've been working on. Is like the fingers aren't as long as I've seen in a lot of Ziny, but
But all of her digits are really long, it looks like.
yeah, but I think I'm seeing that motion.
Or, I mean, all of her joints, I mean.
She has
Yeah.
really long arms, though.
Yeah, exactly. Spine and limbs and the neck and so forth, but her fingers actually aren't as long as we've seen in some Ziny proportionally. But I think the way she's holding them is that kind of like loose whip.
Yeah.
This represents the challenge of our generation. To my mind, it really isn't.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, this is why I chose this video, because of this part of it.
Well, so it's funny. There are a series of but you never.
There. Do you see her? It's on the right of our screen, but it's her left hand. I think I'm seeing that thing, the wrist break, and particularly the knuckle break. Do you see it? It's like this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like
Yes, I did see something like that.
And this free time right here, her left hand's got that a little bit. You guys see? It's the arm that's closer to the interviewer. Doing this. There's like that looseness in the fist knuckles.
Yeah.
It's interesting how fast she moves her arms and hands, but it kind of comes out in spurts.
Spurts. And she's got a lot of knee, but we were talking before, like in reverse with the Ziny, but here it relates also to the Ziny. She has a lot of knee, but I do think it seemed a little manicky.
Yeah.
That's part like it comes in spurts.
Then speaking of people that project people would always say, well, that.
I've yet to see the cheeks move. So, still
Yeah, the cheeks. Yeah, I just noticed that actually. I was just like looking at her cheeks and her mouth, and the emoting doesn't seem to be going up very high at all. Even though she has a lot of like very, the way that she uses her G in order to like express points and emphasize certain words and stuff. She's very good at doing that though. But there's nothing going above the mouth, the lip line.
And the way she, although she articulates very well, it's a lot of bi poise. The way she's got her hips energy and like there's like the waviness in her spinal area, and like her shoulders also is lacking in tensioning. And these gestures, like that, it continues to have that kind of whip-like quality.
Then I said, okay, well, what if I figure out?
And she's moving them a lot, and some quick whip-like, but they are staying within her personal space mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of like just her body, the way that it looks, it kind of reminds me a little bit of who's that one Nijai in the Gotham series?
The one plays Cat
The nurse?
Not Catgirl, the one that's
in the background.
yeah, more. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of a similarity in terms of just the body, but not in terms of like the physiological cues.
Her lines seem longer.
Yeah, of course, with Daniel, it's gonna be different. Longer lines and
There are like a series of things that are like, hey, that's interesting.
In the face, though, actually,
I see what you're saying, though, Glenn.
yeah, and the face also, because one thing besides having not the longest fingers, it also does have a broader face for a Ziny. Because I had considered Nizai, actually, but her energy just seems to be too inward.
Yeah.
And the emoting seems quite localized.
I never thought I'd do something.
But yeah, she does have a bit more of the shape of like the other in her face. More square circle than long.
Well, yes.
She has that thing Adema does a lot too, where she points, but there's like this break. I've mentioned it, the break in the wrist, but there's this other weird one which I don't think I've seen anyone else but Ziny doing this. The pointing finger, I can't even do it. There's a break in it, so instead of you know how I didn't realize until I was studying Ademus. You see my finger here?
Yeah.
Apparently, your knuckle can jut. And apparently, we naturally jut our finger when we point. You can actually also, this is really hard for me, you can pull the knuckle back. You can retreat the knuckle. You see I'm doing that?
Yeah. I can kind of force myself to do a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, but Adema, since she did there too, she real natural. She's pointing at something, and like the pointing finger is pointing, but this knuckle is like collapsing. It's like falling down. The base knuckle's falling down. So,
The knuckle on the very segment of the tip of the finger?
No, the actual base of it. Like right here. I tried doing it. So
I can't see your hand, Coach. Oh, I can see it now.
Okay, so you see the knuckle? That's like jutted forward, the base knuckle.
Yeah.
But you can, it's so hard to try imagining it, it's like pushing the tip backwards. So this knuckle retreats by like a few millimeters. And so Demas does it, so my hand can't even really do it, and he does it a lot where he points, and two things. One, instead of having a power arc in the wrist and projective tension in this knuckle, this wrist gives, and this finger like collapses. I'll start rewinding here a little bit.
Oh, okay. So it basically has a bit of a curve in it.
No. Well, it's more than the knuckle. It's so hard to do. Basically, you see this knuckle here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This knuckle can collapse some.
Collapse inside, so it goes
backwards, so that this wrist gives, and that this knuckle kind of just sags. It's a saggy knuckle.
So like that?
Yes, it's so hard to do, right?
It's just like this.
That's it. That's it. The only other I've seen doing it is Ademus. I haven't seen other towers. I mean, I've seen Ziny doing it, but I haven't seen other towers doing it.
It's kind of like a zigzaggy kind of like look on the. It's like you're pointing. It's sort of like you point like this, but they point like sort of like with some of it, like they're retreating at the same time while they're trying to like.
Exactly.
At the same time.
Wait.
So it's like that.
I'm not really sure what you're saying. Like.
Glenn's got it.
This is like how you normally point, right?
Yes.
It's just sort of like straight. You're just like, okay, you gotta go over there, and then you gotta go over there, and then that's basically. With like a tower, they're trying to retreat. Their hand will kind of like go back like that, and so they're pointing, but there's it's kind of got like this.
Like
it's quite simple to do actually for me I find, and maybe for you too, Ben.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like just like doing this kind of thing with like the finger like this. It maybe even like drips down a little bit. I don't know, but
I can do that. But it doesn't look like when Ademus does it, where it looks like falling. It looks like his knuckles falling instead of like because you look like what I do, which is that you're using tendons to pull it back a millimeter or two.
Yeah.
It's like it's falling a millimeter or two. That difference between pulling a millimeter or two versus falling.
And there's only so far I can like bring it like my if I pull it down, if I pull my pointer finger down far enough, my other fingers will just go straight up. Like it's very difficult to bring both of them really far down.
Very interesting, yeah.
All right, well, that's
Let's-
7:30, and I promised Charlene that we'd get
Oh,
back.
time flies.
That was a great session, though. That was awesome. All right,
I think we covered like five samples.
four. We covered four. Covered four samples. And we had a great discussion about musical influences and the music bubble in general. That was great. All right,
That was
everyone,
fun.
have a wonderful evening, and I'll see everyone on Sunday.
All right. Have a great night,
See you
everyone.
guys.
See you.